Welcome to this explainer of Kahlil Gibran's 1912 masterpiece, The Broken Wings. Today, we're going to dive deep into a complete book summary, review, and uncover the profound life lessons hidden within one of the most heartbreaking love stories of the 20th century. If you're a fan of Gibran's iconic work, The Prophet, trust me, you are going to be absolutely fascinated by this. It's a semi-autobiographical novella that literally laid the foundation for his entire philosophy.
So what happens when true love collides with society, power, and destiny? It's a question that echoes right through the cedar forests of early 20th century Lebanon. And listen, this isn't just your standard boy meets girl story. No, this is a dramatic, high-stakes clash between the absolute purity of the human spirit and the oppressive materialistic cages built by human institutions.
Part 1. A tragic love awakens. Let's step back in time and look at the story of Kahlil and Selma. To really set the scene here, I want you to imagine the majestic, sweeping landscapes of Bashari and the bustling, ancient streets of Beirut. And 18-year-old Kahlil Gibran has just returned from America, eager to reconnect with his Lebanese roots. And it's here, through his father's old friend, Faris Effendi, that he meets her, Selma Karami. Gibran captures this awakening beautifully, writing, "She was the Eve of my heart, who filled it with secrets and wonders, and made me understand the meaning of life." Selma wasn't just a passing crush. Her incredible spiritual depth and beauty became the exact spark that introduced Gibran to the poetry of real life.
But, as you'll see, this pure connection is incredibly fragile. The story unfolds in a rapid, absolutely devastating succession of events. We start in those golden days of youth, where their love naturally blossoms, but dark clouds roll in fast with a forced betrothal. It's a cruel intervention by a powerful local bishop. The lovers try to fight back, rebelling with secret meetings in an ancient temple, but, well, it all culminates in a final heartbreaking tragedy. Selma dies shortly after childbirth, leaving Gibran completely and utterly shattered.
Part 2. The forces against love. Let's take a hard look at the societal oppression that actually drove this tragedy.
To really grasp why their wings were broken, we have to look at this dramatic contrast sitting right at the heart of Gibran's novella. On one side, you have spiritual love that's represented by nature, the moonlight, and just absolute freedom of the soul. But then, on the exact opposite side, sits the societal marriage of the time, and that is driven by dark materialism, greed, and the brutal, undeniable oppression of the individual.
Enter the local bishop. This extremely powerful figure exploits his religious authority to demand that Selma marry his cruel nephew, Mansour Bey Ghalib. Now, the bishop couldn't care less about love or compatibility. He literally only wants one thing, and that's to seize the vast wealth of Selma's father. And you have to remember, in the rigid political climate of 1912 Lebanon, refusing a figure like the bishop, that wasn't just frowned upon, it meant complete social and financial ruin for her entire family.
So, she's trapped in this terrible cage of cultural greed, forced to sacrifice her own happiness just to save her father from ruin. Before entering a marriage completely devoid of affection, Selma utters this unforgettable, just heartbreaking prayer. "O Lord God, have mercy on me and mend my broken wings." It is a moment of profound despair, and it marks the ultimate loss of her freedom and her dreams.
Part 3. Themes of the Broken Wings. Let's explore feminism and freedom.
Now, beyond the romance, what's truly fascinating here is the incredible social consciousness Gibran possessed way back in 1912. I mean, he launches this fierce feminist critique of Middle Eastern patriarchal society. He points out very directly how women were stripped of their autonomy and treated, in his own exact words, like an old piece of furniture. He is actively calling out a systemic injustice where a woman's fate is just traded like currency between powerful men. This entire philosophy aligns beautifully with neo-romantic ideals. If you aren't familiar, this was an artistic movement emphasizing personal freedom, individuality, and the purity of nature over corrupt human institutions. For Gibran and Selma, the raw authenticity of their inner spirit provided the one and only true escape from those suffocating man-made laws. And you know what? They do rebel. Driven by this pure, transcendent love, they commit the ultimate defiance against the bishop's authority by meeting secretly in an ancient temple. And what's really fascinating here is that this specific temple is dedicated to both Ishtar, the ancient goddess of love, and Christ. Gibran is purposefully bridging a spiritual gap here. He's suggesting that their love completely transcends the strict religious boundaries of their time and actually touches the divine itself. Part 4. Suffering and spiritual growth. The terrible price of rebellion. Eventually, Selma makes the agonizing choice to end their secret meetings to protect Gibran. She sacrifices her only slice of happiness for his safety. But looking at their relationship through a psychological lens reveals something pretty incredible. Modern scholars actually often apply Carl Jung's concepts here. Think of Selma as the anima, that feminine spiritual spark that initiates Gibran's deep self-discovery. Through the absolute joy of knowing her, and in the intense pain of losing her, his mind achieves this personal spiritual balance that completely shatters the rigid norms of his day.
There's also a deeply profound philosophical lesson hidden here, and it feels very Nietzschean. The idea that the true meaning of existence is often only understood by enduring profound pain. It is solely through immense suffering, the agony of their forced separation, the unbearable tragedy of Selma's death, and the loss of her newborn child, that Gibran actually achieves his ultimate wisdom as a writer and a philosopher. It's like his wings had to be broken so his spirit could finally learn to soar.
Part 5. Timeless life lessons. The enduring wisdom of Gibran.
So, what does this all mean for us? What are the ultimate life lessons you should take away from this explainer today? Well, first, true love transforms and elevates the soul. Second, the freedom of the human spirit outlasts any physical cage. Third, unjust traditions absolutely must be challenged. Fourth, deep suffering is often the harsh but necessary pathway to inner truth. And finally, material wealth, rather than bringing us happiness, often creates the absolute darkest spiritual prisons.
And these themes, they are incredibly relevant today. Gibran writes, men, even if they are born free, will remain slaves of strict laws enacted by their forefathers. That message is so powerful and so enduring that recent, highly successful musical adaptations of The Broken Wings, both in the West End and in the Middle East, still use Gibran's exact words to challenge sexism and social stagnation, right now, in the modern day.
The beautiful, tragic story of Selma Karami and Kahlil Gibran leaves us with one final, lingering thought. If our modern expectations, a relentless focus on wealth, and our societal rules still build cages for the human spirit, are our wings still broken today? It's a provocative question, for sure. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer of The Broken Wings. Keep seeking